Good morning, everyone. On this beautiful morning, the sun is shining on our Harvest Festival service this morning. Margaret is going to take us service, so I'm going to hand you over to Margaret as there's no announcements. Amen.
Well, good morning. The days are getting chillier, are they not? The evenings are drawing in. It was 7:15 when I needed to put a light on in the lounge last night. And I don't like that a lot. I'd like summer all year, personally. But we are at a time of year that people enjoy. We enjoy the harvest celebration. We might have watched the fields being harvested, the fruit picked, and the trees are beginning to change colour. And before long, there will be children scrabbling in the grass for conkers. Do you collect conkers? I hold my hat up to you. That's very good. I am desperate to find conkers. Do you know why? If you put them in your room, the spiders go away. I had a conversation with a spider the other day. You don't want to know the result. I need conkers. This time of the year is quite comforting, isn't it? Because we have all our traditions in the church. We sing well-known hymns that we love. I'm not sure that's quite going to happen today, but we're going to work on it. But this part of the year tells us of the circle of life. But how much do we really stop and think about what it means? We're going to begin by singing a hymn that if you don't know, I'll take my hat off to you. Number 123, Come Ye Thankful People, Come. I think you have, apart from lots of bits of paper, you've got one which begins Prayer of Praise. We're going to use this as the first of our prayers. The first of our prayers this morning. So if you would join in with the words in the dark type. Let us come before God in prayer. Gracious God, you have set us in a world that you have made. And so often we are so busy that we do not look to see all that you have given us. Open our hearts and minds this day to see your world through your eyes and all that you call us to do. The spider spinning webs, the whale swimming the ocean, the poppy glowing in the field, the world in its commotion. May we have eyes to recognize it all and see the glory that is yours. The magpie in the garden, the otter by the lake, the flower in the rainforest, the vole, the fish, the snake. May we have eyes to recognize them all and celebrate the wildness of your imagination. The desert creeping south, the ice caps breaking free, the climate growing warmer, less rain for you and more for me. May we have eyes to see it all and know the pain creation feels. The power of the onshore wave, the current in the stream, the wind that turns the turbine blade, sun's energy supreme. May we have eyes to recognize it all and insight to use your gifts well. Amen. Lord, how wonderful this world is that you have made. The fiery sun, the things that we serve and use in all our great design. You come and bring life to all. The smallest seed that grows in secret, the way it thrusts upwards to answer the bidding of the light. The buds that unfurl into a rose. The wings within the white cocoon that are perfected for flight. The migrant bird that swings its way south, ready for the winter, and will come again in spring to build in the new shady trees. And homeward across the clover field, the honey bees do their work. Oh God, your gifts are greater than anything we can imagine. You give us a conscious will, a thinking mind, a heart to worship you. Lord, take us and all the powers you've given us and teach us through your Son to find life more full and more free. Amen. And we share together in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And we will sing our second hymn, number 126, Praise God of the Harvest. Psalm 104, somewhere in my mind, I think I asked if somebody was going to read this, but I don't think that's the case. Is that correct? That's good, I'll read it then. Psalm 104. This is a psalm that was written by the psalmist to try to bring to the people the sense of God's great gift to the world. It's a long one. Just hang in there. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, you are very great. You are clothed with honor and majesty, wrapped in light as with a garment. You stretch out the heavens like a tent, and you set the beams of your chambers on the water. You make the clouds your chariot. You ride on the wings of the wind. You cover it with the deep as with with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At your rebuke they flee. At the sound of your thunder they take flight. They rose up to the mountains, ran down to the valleys, and took the place that you appointed for them. You cause the grass to grow for the cattle and plants for the people to use. You bring forth food from the earth and wine to gladden the human heart, oil to make the face shine, and bread to strengthen the human heart. The trees of the Lord are watered abundantly, the cedars of Lebanon that he planted. In them the birds build their nests. The stork has its home in the fir trees. The high mountains are for the wild goats. The rocks are a refuge for the conies. You have made the moon to mark the seasons, the sun to know its time of setting. You make darkness and it is night, and all the animals of the forest come creeping out. The young lions roar for their prey, seeking their food from God. When the sun rises, they withdraw and lie down in their dens. People go out to their work and to their labour until the evening. O Lord, how manifold are your works. In wisdom you have made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. Yonder is the sea, great and wide. Creeping things innumerable are there, living things both small and great. These all look to you, to give them their food in due season. When you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are filled with good things. When you hide your face, they are dismayed. When you take away their breath, they die and return to their dust. When you send forth your spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the earth. May the glory of the Lord endure forever. May the Lord rejoice in his works. I will sing to the Lord as long as I live. I will sing praise to my God while I have being. May my meditation be pleasing to him, for I rejoice in the Lord. Amen. So the psalmist recognized and remembered and praised God for everything that God had made. Which should remind me not to kill the spiders that I hate so much. I'm being frowned at over there. There are all sorts of things that we find interesting and like, and then those that we don't. When my youngest grandson discovered the garden, he found there were so many interesting things in it, and he leads me round the garden by the hand and points out to me the colours of the flowers. And then he burrows his finger and he comes out with a worm, and he goes, "Very pretty, Nana." Yeah, he'll grow out of that one day. At least he doesn't eat it yet. Job was a miserable sort of man, wasn't he, really? He liked to moan. You don't moan, do you? I do. And Job moaned to God about all kinds of things. And in the end, well, more than once, God got a bit cross. And so he read him a lecture. The lecture is on the bottom of the sheet of paper which your praise hymn, your praise prayer was on. God replying firmly to Job. Were you there when I made the world? Who decided how large it should be? Who laid the cornerstone of the world? In the dawn of that day, the stars sang together. Who closed the gates to close back the sea? Have you ever ordered the dawn to seize the day? Who dug a channel for the pouring rain? Who is the mother of ice and frost? Who is wise enough to count the clouds and tilt them over and pour out the rain? I feel I want to say to Job and to each of us, none of us did this. None of us did this. God created the most amazing world for us to live in. We're going to sing number 92, but we're only going to sing 4 verses, 1, 2, 6 and 8 if you've got a hymn book. Think of a world without any flowers. So we could, if we were feeling really enthusiastic, look very happy about today, couldn't we? The sunshine, the flowers that are in the garden, everything that we have that actually brings us life. I walked home, having walked my beautiful Brampston for a walk yesterday evening. As I'm walking down the road, there is only one thing I can hear. Now, was that the speeding motorist going up Queen Street? No, it wasn't. Was it the group of teenagers singing to their iPads as they're walking down the road? No. Through all the stillness of the evening, I could hear birds singing. And it really lifts your heart, doesn't it? Well, it lifted mine. I'm thinking to myself, that's so wonderful. And how often do we stop and thank God for that moment? That's a real thank God moment, isn't it? When we're not thinking about what we should be doing next and how much time we've got to achieve something before we go to bed. Do you do that? Yeah. When we go shopping, do we enjoy the process around the supermarket? Yes. There's people to talk to as you go up and down the aisles. If you're really lucky, that's if you're me, and you're really lucky, a tall man walks by when you want something off the top shelf that you can't reach. Why they put my favourite ice cream in the very top shelf of the freezer, I will never know. So I wait. A bit like one of those creatures that God made for us that leaps out at the appropriate moment. And I'm looking at this tall man walking down towards me and I'm thinking, you can reach that. So when he approaches me, I go, excuse me, you couldn't just reach that for me. And you know, they always seem so polite, don't they? Then they say, no problem, and they lift it down. And then I say, I would just wish they wouldn't put things that high up, to which they giggle and walk away. Shopping can be a chore. How many of you grow food in your gardens? Oh, just look how good you are. So when you want your veggies, do you sort of go out the back door and just pick a couple of carrots for today's dinner? Or is this a lot more than that? No, you don't. Yes? No? I want to divide us up this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Beryl, could you come and just join them over here for a moment? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't count now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and Margaret, 7. Yes, okay, so you're in groups of 7. This is group 1. The crew on the back here, minus Keith, you're group 2, and this group here, you're a bit more spread out around the room, but that makes another 7. Okay, so we've got groups of 7. Now, from each group, I want 1 volunteer. Well, don't kill yourself in joy. Thank you so much. You've just got to come and stand here. Nothing too strenuous. 1, 2. On the back here, come along. Thank you very much. Now, you 3 is individuals, 1 within your group, so you've left 6 behind. You are the chosen group. You are the smallest, 1/7 of your group. Yes? You can do the maths, good. That's good, because I'm needing to read it to make sure I don't get it wrong. 1/7 of that group, but in the world's division of wealth and food, you 3 get the most. You can have all your favourite food. The rest of you, you make up the majority of the world. You get what's left over, the bare minimum. You get 1 bowl of rice a day. So the question is, this morning, whose harvest are you celebrating? You may sit down. A bit more. There you go. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to watch a video. It will give you, I hope, pause for thought. Pause for thought. It's called The Indian Rice Harvest.
Rice is a staple crop and food source around the world, especially in India. It is particularly important in the 1,000 days period, providing vital nutrition for pregnant women and infant children. The rice harvest is a crucial and very busy time in the villages. Men, women, and children all pitch in with the work in the fields from dawn to dusk. They harvest the rice by hand. It is backbreaking labor. The threshing process of separating the rice grains from the stem is particularly strenuous. The kernels are collected in reed baskets, while 2 co-workers create a wind by waving a blanket. The rice is poured from the baskets. The chaff is blown away while the rice grains remain. Meena brought her 1-year-old daughter, Priyansi, with her to the field. She gathered up some rice straw and bound it into 3 bundles to construct a shelter to protect Priyansi from the wind and sun. She worked nearby, always keeping her child in view. Occasionally, she stopped work to feed her baby. At the end of a long day in the fields, the farmers bring the rice and straw to their villages. The straw is fed to the cows and buffalo. With this fodder, the milk production rises. The rice kernels are dehusked by a machine. The husks are turned into cattle feed and oil. The women dry the rice and keep what they need to feed their families. Any surplus is packed in large sacks and sold to traders, who load it onto trucks destined for the big city markets. The rice crop is a vital source of both nourishment and income.
I wonder how we'd feel about having to do that for our dinner today. I don't fancy it particularly. But more people in the world get their food that way than out of a supermarket. Genesis says that God made man to care for his creation. And the question that has been coming through my mind for most of the week, it's all right, she can come in. You can come and give my sermon in a minute. The question that I have been thinking about most of the week, that's Sue, by the way. She's a good friend of mine. She's organised me for the last 20 odd years. Like that. This one's tipping the other way, really. Oh, you are kind. Thank you. Bless you. Oh, that's better. Thank you. We are asked by God to care for his creation, and the question that I've been asking myself all week is, do we do that adequately? What is our responsibility? I don't think a day goes by, but certainly a week goes by without us being reminded of the situation of global warming. I'm not asking you to put your hand up to answer this question, but I would ask the question of myself, let alone you, how many of us watch it and go and put the kettle on? And then in an hour or so, we've completely forgotten everything that they told us. I was gifted, I say that occasionally, with not too much surety about it, but I was gifted with a beautiful granddaughter who now stands at the side of the height of 5'11". I mean, who allowed that to happen? 5'11". Oh. And she lectures me on the fact that the whole of global warming is my fault. I've reminded her on frequent occasions it's not all my fault. And she said, yes, but Nana, what are you doing about it? Not a lot would probably be the answer. At the age of 17, she thinks she can tell me exactly what to do. She's probably right. The fact that I can't beat her up anymore is neither here nor there. If we go shopping, even Keith, all the men, you go shopping too, don't you? With your other halves, if you can avoid it or not. And dependent on which shop you're going to, you collect your trolley or your basket to put all the things in it that you need. How many of you write a list? Oh, that's very efficient. I try to do it on memory. Not always helpful. We fill our baskets or our trolleys with everything that we want. And sometimes it's very irritating when there's something you particularly want or need and it's not on the shelf. And that's becoming more and more frequent, isn't it? We come home, we unpack the food into the fridges, the freezer, and the cupboards. And then we can stand there and feel slightly smug. Oh, I've got enough now for the rest of till next week. And that's a good feeling, isn't it? Gone are the days when we shopped every day, aren't they? We buy food enough for a week. I know some very clever people who do it for a whole month at a time. It depends on our shopping habits, doesn't it? But there are some even cleverer people who shop online. They send an order and it arrives by magic in a little van that stops outside and delivers it to your doorstep, and if you're really lucky, they take it into your kitchen. We have less to do, and yet still the food arrives. Do we ever stop to consider those who have to do the work for even the most meagre crop? Not just the people in India, but in countries all across the world that have to use back-breaking efforts to gain the food that they need. They have to deal with the lack of rain that enables the plants to grow. And they're very conscious of the likelihood that the crop won't grow at all if the heat from the sun is too much. We go and collect the food out of our cupboards, and we take what we want. And the consideration of the needs of others around our world often disappears. God said he gave enough for all. Enough for all. Enough for us all to live on a bowl of rice. But we will eat a great deal more than that this day. We're not good at sharing, are we? At looking at the needs of the third world, at looking at the needs of the refugees starving in Lebanon with no food or not enough anyway. We just empty our cupboards and keep going. And even if we're not remembering the people who will live on a bowl of rice, how about those who live down our streets, who are frail or housebound? We are so busy that we so often forget to call, to check that they're all right. And then, of course, there's the people who don't actually speak our language. So we can ignore them, can't we? Except their English is generally better than my Polish or any other language that is situated around us. These people have different customs and culture to us. And we let them get on to do their own thing and don't try to understand. God calls us, each one of us, to love, to care, to support, and to encourage each other and those in our communities and those in the world. But we're too busy, aren't we? We've got so much on, so much to think about. Our world needs every single person in it to care about the environment, to make the changes and the improvements that will stop it being destroyed. Our world needs us to care for all people and to make that difference that makes everybody's lives better. We're very good at shutting ourselves away in our own little ivory towers. We do care for the elderly and the frail, those we live amongst and those we know. But often we ignore those who are different to us. Harvest is great. I love harvest. We decorate the church, we bring food that we're going to give to the food banks, and we have a nice warm glow. But God says it's not just for one day. It's for every day. It's for every day of every year. He calls us to love his world, to care for it, to make a difference, and to care for one another, whether that's in our country or further afield. We could make lists for the list makers amongst us. We could make lists of everything we should be doing and could be doing and would do. My list most mornings is the size of a foolscap page of paper. And if I'm really lucky, I get halfway down it before I'm going to bed. Let us today make this harvest not just for today when we sing our hymns and pat ourselves on the back, but spend all year making the harvest of God's world work for all. Amen. And we're going to sing number 109, In the Darkness of the Still Night. Let us pray. Creator God, you amaze us by the beauty of the world you've made. You amaze us that in love you allow the world to be the way it is. You call us, Lord, to care for your world, for the beauty of the trees, the flowers that grow in the meadows, for the animals that live in our world and in our oceans. You created us, Lord, and made us in your image. You gave us our friends and our families. And you set us in communities to support and encourage one another. And Lord, we bring your world into our prayers today as we think in this time of harvest, not just of all the good things, but of the things that need our attention, our work, and our prayer. We thank you, Lord, for food, for the food that's been brought here today, that will go to help those who are less able to cope in society than we are. We pray, Lord, that as they receive help for food and things to eat for their families, we will recognize their need. And that when we eat, Lord, we will give you thanks for all you have given us. We pray for people across our world who today will be hungry. Those living in refugee camps. Refugees who are leaving their own homes to find peace and prosperity in other places, and a struggle for that journey. We give thanks for those across our world who grow crops, who care for animals, and give us what we need, when for many of them, money is tight. Come, Lord, to us and open our hearts and minds to recognize the needs and the poverty of our world, and help us in however small a way to make a difference. We come remembering, Lord, with thankfulness, the doctors and nurses who have cared for us throughout this pandemic, the scientists who have worked hard to find new ways, creating vaccines that would bring life and hope. We thank you for the care of doctors and nurses in hospitals, helping those who are really ill. We pray for all in hospital, whether from COVID or other illnesses. And we pray, Lord, that you will come with your healing power to those who need you at this time. Lord, we wish to live in a world of peace. But the posturing of governments, the desire for control and a growth of land and property takes us into an entirely different situation. And we pray, Lord, for peace in your world. A respect for the creatures that you have made. A respect for one another. Help us to try to understand what it must be like to live in countries where there is a shortage of water, where the climate is changing so rapidly that their ways of living are threatening to change everything. Lord, when we moan about too much heat or too much rain, remind us that others are much more worse off than we are. But help us, Lord, to make a difference by whatever small measures we can manage to make this world stable again for future generations. Lord, we bring before you all those people who are in our hearts and minds, known perhaps only to each one of us. Lord, we offer them to you, their fears and their anxieties, their illness, their loneliness, their frailty. Lord, come with your love and your peace, and help us to help them with the love and peace that we can bring if we give ourselves the time. Gracious Lord, be with us. Come to each one of us, that we may know your peace, that we may know your love and your forgiveness. Guide us, Lord, in all that we do and say, and help us make a difference in our own communities that will inspire and help us and bring us together as one people of God. We ask these prayers in Jesus' name. Amen. You have a sheet, which is 2 pages long, called Agape. This is a time of dedication and of action. The words, as we come to read them, recognize the global perspective of harvest, but also the sharing of it amongst ourselves. So what we're going to do, you can read carefully. Yes, I need to get my gloves on, thank you for that. You can read the top bit. I think several of us have read this about 5 times and we're still not quite sure what we're doing, so this could be entertaining at the very least. I've got some volunteers. Where have they gone? One over there, one there, thank you. Beryl, would you like to come and help as well? What we're going to do is we're going to take the bread and we're going to share it. I can't even get my glass on now. We're going to take it and share it. So you will find that we will come and we will bring bread and break it in half and give it to 2 more people. And then those more people will then break it in half again and share it with other people, and eventually we will have enough to share together. And we will all have a piece of bread at the end. Now, if I could ask those who need gluten-free just to tell me. Can you put your hand up if you're a gluten-free person? One at the back. No one else? Oh, we've got one at the back, so that's a good start. And then when we have given the bread out, we're going to read these verses on the page that begin the corn, the wheat, the rice. And when we get to the end, we are going to sing together the hymn which is printed on the bottom of your sheet. If I've got any of that wrong, you'll find out in a minute when I make a mess of it. So if you would position yourselves in different places, and then we will break our bread in half and hand it to 2 more people. And so if you get a piece of bread from that second half, when you've got a half a loaf, as it were, if you would then share it with a person in front of you or to the side of you, and then we'll break it and they will break it again. Does that make sense? It's a bit complicated. We're work on this, folks. Work on this. Let me come over this way and fall over something. You can share that, but that is gluten-free. No, you're the only one here today that's gluten-free, so it doesn't matter if you give it to somebody else, as long as you keep your own. Thank you. Has everyone got a piece of bread? Then you may return it to the tray and just take 1 piece. Take a small piece. Yes, keep a piece. Fabulous. Would you like to sit? So if you hold your piece of bread, and we will share these verses together. Don't eat your bread yet. The corn, the wheat, the rice, the mealie meal, the couscous, the bean, food for the world, future for the planet, the staple of life, the energy for living, God's gift to us all, with enough for us all, when we break it and share it, break it and share it, break it and share it. The floods and the drought, the climate and concern, crops are ruined and weather destroys, yet seeds still grow, and plenty is planted. God's gift to us all, with enough for us all, when we break it and share it, break it and share it, break it and share it, break it and share it. Between hungry and full, the poor and the rich, justice is called for, the balance restored. The world is our home and the harvest our dowry, God's gift to us all, with enough for us all, when we break it and share it, break it and share it, break it and share it, break it and share it. No plate should be empty and no stomach in pain. No person with too much and no one with nothing. For the world is a bread store, a feast for each one. God's gift to us all, with enough for us all, when we break it and share it, break it and share it, break it and share it, break it and share it. Continue until everyone has a peace. May our faith be a statement about our way of living, where we choose to live with each other in mind. May we bless our great God and share in love's goodness as we share with each other, with enough for us all. And we eat our bread. We will sit and sing quietly number 431, "Oh, the love of my Lord is the essence." Gracious Lord, as we have come together to share bread, help us in these coming days and weeks to share what you have given us with others we know or do not know. Help us to share your love. Help us to share a smile. Gracious Lord, as we have come together to share bread, help us in these coming days and weeks to share what you have given us with others we know or do not know. Help us to share your love. Help us to share a smile. Help us to share when people are hungry. help us most of all, Lord, to see you in all those we meet and within our own lives, now and always. Amen. Closing hymn number 110, In the Wonder of Creation. Loving God, we come to ask your blessing on the food that we will give to others, on the offering we make for the work of this church. And we offer ourselves to you and to all that you call us to be. May we find heaven in the wilderness of creation. May we seek justice in the bread for the world. May we know resurrection in the sunsets of autumn. And may we find God in the sharing of it all. And the blessing of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be with you and remain with you, and all whom you love, now and forever. Amen.